smells like some vomit took a dump in here. What happened?
Okay, we all know fast food isn't the healthiest, but no one expects it to be the cause of serious harm. And yet, it's happened more than once. Here are the top 10 worst fast food injuries. Arby's hand slice.
Arby's, we have the meat.
Can you imagine the horror of biting into your sandwich and finding a piece of a finger? For a teenager in Michigan, this horror became a reality. Having gone to the Arby's drive-thru with his family, he ordered a sandwich. In his last bite, he came across something he described as being rubbery. He was quoted as saying, "That has to be a finger. I was about to puke. It was just nasty." And really, who could blame him for feeling this way? Of course, the big question was, whose finger was it? Well, it turned out that the finger belonged to an employee at the Arby's restaurant where the boy had purchased the sandwich. The employee injured themselves and left the kitchen area without telling her coworkers. Naturally, the coworkers picked up where she'd left off, unknowingly serving a piece of a finger in one of the sandwiches. Both the teen and the employee were treated in the hospital, and Arby's released a formal apology and shut down the location to have it thoroughly cleaned and sanitized. Hopefully, this tale hasn't put you off your next Arby's meal. McDonald's Big Mac with glass.
See, they got the Big Mac, I got the Big Mick.
Unfortunately, we've all heard stories of non-food items ending up in fast food meals. And while these things can be stomach-turning, we don't often expect them to be dangerous. But in 2005, a potentially life-threatening discovery was made in a McDonald's meal. A New York City cop went out for a late-night bite to eat and wound up getting more than he bargained for: shards of glass in his Big Mac, something no one wants to find in their food. Can you imagine the panic you would feel if you found glass in your meal?
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone?
Thankfully, the glass caused the officer no serious harm. But for the McDonald's worker in the kitchen that night, it opened up a case that would take him nearly a decade to finally settle. He was accused of intentionally placing the glass in the burger and even made a confession when interrogated by police. But not long after making the confession, he spoke out about his interrogation experience and the conditions in which he made the confession. In 2014, the worker, Albert Garcia, was awarded over $400,000 in a settlement with the city. His argument? That it was actually the officer who put the glass in his own meal. The case was complicated and confusing, with no agreement on what really happened. All parties involved had different stories of the event. But regardless of what really happened, the case awoke fears of finding glass in fast food meals. Tim Hortons tea too hot.
Oh, hot, it's just too hot.
We all love the idea of a comforting hot cup of tea, but sometimes when ordering from a fast food place like Tim Hortons, the drinks are hotter than we bargained for. For one woman in Ontario, Canada, the temperature of her drink turned into a painful, blistering experience. She'd gone to her local Tim's drive-thru for a cup of tea, and after receiving it, the cup gave way on her, spilling the scalding hot liquid all over her legs and stomach. It sounds wildly uncomfortable, and it turned out the water used for the tea was so hot that it caused her severe burning and blistering.
I'm really hurt.
Understandably, she was terribly upset. She's now decided to sue the franchise for $500,000 over the faulty cup and the dangerous temperature of the water used for teas and hot drinks. She's calling for better quality cups and safer temperatures to prevent this from happening to others. It's taken her months to recover from the burns. No word yet on a settlement. New to BabbleTop? Then how about hitting that subscribe button? It's quick, it's easy, and it won't cause any injuries. Thanks. Coli Burgers.
This is a tasty burger.
Back in 1993, a bunch of people got really sick after eating at Jack in the Box restaurants. It turned out they had all been infected with a dangerous strain of E. coli bacteria. E. coli is a type of bacteria that lives in the intestines of animals and humans. Most strains are harmless, but some can cause serious illness if ingested. And unfortunately, the strain that was found in the Jack in the Box burgers was one of the bad ones. The outbreak had devastating consequences. Over 600 people got sick from the contamination, and 4 young children died. It was a heartbreaking nightmare.
Dying earlier today, and then I died.
The exact source was believed to have been caused by undercooked beef patties that had been contaminated with the dangerous E. coli strain. In response to the outbreak, Jack in the Box completely revamped its food safety procedures and has since gone on to win awards for its food safety precautions. And thankfully, there hasn't been a major E. coli outbreak at a fast food restaurant since. The outbreak showed just how important it is to take food safety seriously, and it led to changes in Jack in the Box regulations and practices to help prevent future outbreaks. Wendy's missing finger.
I like to bring in some of my Kevin's famous chili.
Back in 2005, a woman reported that she found a human finger in her chili at a Wendy's restaurant. Can you imagine? It was all over the news, and people were, understandably, disturbed and began avoiding the fast food chain. Wendy's was getting slammed with bad publicity and lost a lot of money as a result, believed to be around $2.5 million in sales. But here's the thing, it was all a lie.
Liar!
The woman had actually planted the finger in her own chili. It turned out she got the finger from her husband, whose workmate lost it in an accident, thinking it would be a good idea to use it to get money by scamming Wendy's and taking them to court. But this turned out to be a terrible idea. In the end, the woman was caught and charged with a felony and spent 5 years in prison. And Wendy's was able to prove that the finger didn't come from any of their employees or suppliers. But the damage had already been done. The whole thing cost Wendy's a ton of money and hurt the chain's reputation. Taco Bell's taco beef.
Not cool beef.
Back in 2011, a law firm in Alabama filed a lawsuit against Taco Bell claiming that their seasoned beef was actually only 35% real beef and the rest was made up of questionable ingredients. As you can imagine, this caused quite a stir in the fast food world. People were left wondering what exactly was in the Bell's beloved tacos. Taco Bell fired back and claimed that their beef was actually 88% real beef and the rest was made up of spices and seasonings. The restaurant went beyond just making a simple statement. They took out a full-page ad in major newspapers across the country, like the Wall Street Journal, with the headline, "Thank you for suing us."
Our seasoned beef recipe is 88% quality ground beef.
In the ad, Taco Bell defended the quality of its beef. Talk about a bold move. The lawsuit eventually reached a settlement and Taco Bell continued to sell its seasoned beef. But they also changed their advertising campaign to emphasize the fact that their beef was 100% real to avoid any future legal issues. Lesson learned: if you're going to claim something about your food, make sure you have the evidence and proof to back it up. And if you do get sued, maybe consider giving away free tacos as a peace offering. Arby's hand sandwich, Part 2.
Another hand.
If you're thinking to yourself, this was already listed, don't worry, this isn't a repeat. Unfortunately, Arby's was caught up in 2 different hand-slicing food incidents. Perhaps it could have something to do with the fact that the menu includes many elements that need to be sliced. One happened in 2014 and the other happened in 2005. That's right, the same year as the Wendy's finger in the chili hoax. Apparently, it was a busy year in the fast food industry for food safety. In 2005, an Ohio Arby's customer, David Scheiding, ordered one of the signature sandwiches, and after biting into it, he found something off: a piece of a human thumb.
Not again!
It turns out that the Arby's manager at the location the sandwich was sold sliced his thumb while prepping the lettuce, but he didn't get rid of the salad bin he'd been using to hold the prepped lettuce. Because of this, the chunk of skin found its way into the sandwich for a customer to unknowingly bite into. A lawsuit for $50,000 was filed against the restaurant, though the lawsuit is never discussed by the Arby's chain. Trans fat lawsuit.
It's exactly the stuff I'm trying to get you not to eat.
A lawsuit was filed against McDonald's in 2002, claiming that the restaurant chain failed to properly notify the public of changes it made for its plans to reduce trans fat levels in its foods. McDonald's informed the public that they would be cutting trans fats in September of 2002, but ended up delaying this change until February 2003. Now, you might be wondering what the worries around trans fats are. Trans fats are a type of fat that is commonly found in processed fast foods to improve taste and texture. However, research has shown that trans fats can increase bad cholesterol levels and lead to heart disease.
Heart attack!
While the lawsuit accused McDonald's of not properly informing its customers about the delay in reducing trans fat levels, McDonald's argued that it had always disclosed the nutritional information of its food and that it was up to the customers to make their own informed choices. Eventually, McDonald's settled the lawsuit by agreeing to donate $7 million to the American Heart Association. The company also agreed to publicly share its process for reducing the trans fat levels in its food and to display nutritional information to its customers more prominently. This lawsuit brought attention to the issue of food transparency and the responsibility of food companies to provide accurate information to their customers. It also helped to raise awareness about the potential health risks associated with consuming trans fats. McDonald's burning coffee.
Hot coffee?
In 1992, a woman named Stella Liebeck bought a cup of coffee from a McDonald's drive-thru and accidentally spilled it on herself. Unfortunately, the coffee was extremely hot and she suffered third-degree burns on her lap and inner thighs. After McD's refused to cover her medical bills, Stella filed a lawsuit against the chain claiming that her coffee was dangerously hot and that the company should have warned her about it. The case went to trial and Stella was initially awarded $2.8 million in damages by a jury. This decision made headlines and caused a lot of controversy. Many people criticized Stella for being greedy and for not taking responsibility for her own actions. But what many people didn't know was that for a decade prior to this incident, McDonald's had received many other complaints about their hot coffee. McDonald's argued that its coffee was not any hotter than any other restaurant's coffee and that it was common knowledge that coffee is hot. However, it was revealed that McDonald's had been serving their coffee at a temperature of 180 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit, which can cause serious third-degree burns.
Oh, it burns! The vapors burn!
In the end, the judge reduced the damages awarded to Stella to $640,000, and she eventually settled with McDonald's for an undisclosed amount. The case brought attention to the issue of product liability and corporate responsibility, and it changed the way that many companies approach product safety. Beef-filled French fries.
Yep, French fries.
Who doesn't love a crispy, salty, perfectly golden French fry? It's the ultimate comfort food, whether you're a meat eater, vegetarian, or vegan. But in 2001, news broke about how McDonald's prepares their French fries, and it was upsetting to say the least. Apparently, McDonald's used to deep fry their fries in beef fat and vegetable oil. Yep, you heard that right, beef fat. This fact only came to light when McDonald's announced that it would be moving away from beef oil to just vegetable oil. And understandably, this upset quite a few McDonald's patrons who didn't eat beef for religious, personal, or dietary reasons.
To us, cows are sacred!
People were furious, and legal action was taken to sue McDonald's. McDonald's did eventually apologize and said that they regretted if customers felt that the information provided was not complete enough to meet their needs. But let's be honest, this was a big deal. People were not happy about their beloved French fries being cooked in beef fat. The good news is that McDonald's fries are now cooked in sunflower and rapeseed oil, but that doesn't mean McD's U.S. fries are now vegetarian. While the oil being used has been changed, beef flavoring is added to the oil. When it comes to McDonald's fries made outside of the U.S., there's a better chance that they don't contain the offending beef flavoring. We've got more. Just tap or click on another video. First time here? Then hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell.